All right, I want to say thank you so much for making time for joining us right here on Location. And of course, On Location is a podcast that travels across different locations where the events and the action is happening. And of course, we get right there for us to be able to bring you some of the conversations with thought leaders and those who probably have one or two things to say on various key issues that are happening in that particular space. So we are now here at AFS Forum, or of course, what we want to be able to have right now is a good conversation around the soil. Of course, we talk about, when we talk about the agribusiness space, the value chains and all that. And who best joining us right now other than Omondi Kasidhi, who's a Senior Manager, Digital Growth and Commercialization for Africa, that is working with Yara Africa and Asia. Thank you so much, Omondi, for making the time and for joining us right here on Location podcast. I want us to just get right to it. A lot has been happening since the 2nd of this particular month. Of course, this is one of the biggest events in the calendar of activities that revolves around agri-business related issues. And so I want to read your thoughts. What are you hearing on the ground so far since the beginning of this particular forum?
Yeah, thank you, Eugene. Actually, it's quite a pleasure to be here in Kigali. I love Kigali, first of all. And we've come as Yara. We are one of the leading crop nutrition companies. And of course, this is an essential forum to be at, to showcase the crop nutrition development solutions that are there, how they apply to Africa, and how other tools that we have, including digital, are applying. So what have I seen?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. I think this time round, a lot of young, ambitious entrepreneurs going after the food systems and actually explaining both their challenges, but even more excitingly for us, their triumphs. So I think we're seeing a lot more successes as well.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of partners, multilaterals on the table, the governments as well. We are seeing other private sector actors coming around what I think is an evolving agenda.
Yeah.
And for me specifically is around how we can use digital systems within food transformation for Africa and do it at scale.
Right.
So it's been an exciting space.
And we still have a few more days to go. Of course, I want to understand from where you sit as Yara yourselves, we understand that digitizing agri-food systems and the value chains is very important for this particular continent. But I want to hear how you plug in as Yara. What is it that you bring to the table in this conversation if you're not the table yourselves?
Absolutely, yeah. So we are a participant on the table, and it began from a necessity. Our customers are millions of smallholder farmers being serviced by tens of thousands of agrovets, mom and pop shops, right? So if you're going to service this clientele and service them the way we should service them, then digital becomes a necessity. It's impossible to do this at scale manually. So we have two platforms that we have, one for our channel, one called Yara Connect. Basically, with about 10,000 agro dealers, shop owners, they can come onto this platform, set up their shop, update their stocks. By the way, they can also add stocks that are not Yara products. So they have complementary products as well. And through that channel, we service them with training, capability building as well.
Yeah.
Then on the farmer side, we have another platform called Yara Farm Care. And in Yara Farm Care is where if you want to farm, you join the platform and we begin with knowledge, right? Because that's essential for success.
Yeah.
How do you get the right knowledge on the type of crop you're trying to grow? How do you get your soil information, weather information, and all these things? And then if now you are ready to make a move and you want to do a transaction, we automatically expose you to all the shops on our Yara Connect platform. And you can see who's around you, what products they have. And of course, being on our Yara platform, they're always high quality products.
Yeah.
So we plug in onto the digital side as a means to service our clients and our customers, who are primarily the millions of smallholder farmers across Africa.
And as you speak about the smallholder farmers, there's a challenge of market fragmentation and working a lot in terms of isolation in that sense. How is this going, or what is it that you are bringing on the table in terms of trying to find a solution to this? How can this be dealt with for the smallholder farmers to finally be able to reap the full potential of their farming and the work that they do?
It's a real challenge, and it's a challenge from both sides. For the smallholder farmer, which by the way could be a farmer with 30 acres, some of them 0.25. So first, the definition of who's a smallholder keeps evolving.
Yes.
So from the farmer side, it's that how do you access high quality, affordable products, yet your acreage is not sufficient for you to go to the manufacturer and have a one-on-one discussion on what you need. So from the farmer side, that's the challenge. And then from our side, being a manufacturer, being a supplier, is then how do you service millions of customers at an affordable and sustainable scale so that you actually make money at the end of the day, right? So the way we are trying to do this is, first of all, through these digital tools and platforms where we can aggregate the demand. We can aggregate what farmers want. We can get more information from you without sending somebody to the ground to talk to you. And though we still have people who go to the ground and speak to farmers. So from the farmer side, it's about aggregating the demand. And then we also work quite a bit through partnerships. We understand that for you to succeed, you need more than fertilizer, right? You need your seeds. You'll need your mechanization. And there is where the conversation becomes very interesting and very, I think, where as Africa, we are able to pick the best from the world and bring it to work for us. For example, something that we've seen on our platforms are things like drone technology, right? So this is something that's evolving every year. So things like drone application of fertilizer, drone application of foliars, mapping and surveying your farms. If you're a single farmer trying to do that, that becomes very expensive, leave alone the regulations.
It's a tedious process.
It's a tedious process. So what we do is we find partners who specialize in that, and we try to expose them to thousands of farmers who may need that service, right? And it's a journey. We're not saying that we've fixed it already. But to answer your question, it's aggregation of demand and doing it smartly, and then bringing the right quality people to a sufficient amount of customers that it makes sense for them to service them through those platforms.
I'm tickled to ask you this because you earlier told me that you've been around in Rwanda for 5 years and counting. Talk to me a bit about your operations here. Which are the areas that you've been successful in aggregating in terms of what you just mentioned, and what are the plans that you have for the Rwanda specific market as you operate in your business?
This is an exciting market for us to be in, first of all. It's a fairly well-organized market. So there is a system through which the farmers access inputs through a well-coordinated online system. So we participate in that as a supplier. And there is also the technology behind it, which is for all the players. So there is infrastructure in place. Now, where we bring most value is, as Yara, we have over 105 years of crop nutrition information from around the world. So in Rwanda, if you're trying to grow coffee, right, we have the agronomy knowledge around it. How does it work with Rwandese soils, right? Because coffee being grown in Rwanda is a very different exercise from coffee being grown in Argentina or another market. So we bring the crop nutrition to bear in terms of training farmers, making it available for them, so that the products we supply through the supply chain are actually meeting knowledge at the farmer level. So we're bringing that in several different value chains, and actually being very crop specific, soil specific in that agenda. And in Rwanda, we are finding a very enabling environment to actually do that. And we were excited yesterday to be in the forum with the State Minister for Agriculture, also the Minister for ICT, and hearing around the agenda on how to coordinate. Because I think coordination is quite important, right? There's a lot of technologies all over the place. If you don't coordinate them, they'll grow at fantastic speeds, but you may not have the outcomes that you're looking for. But in a nutshell, it's a good environment to get that coordination going and deliver these products that are bringing value to farmers.
Right. Before I let you go, I'm going to ask you this specific question on the aspect of investment flows, because we understand, FDI flows are the taps are sort of, trickling at not so much expected rate or ways due to global shocks. Those who used to, send in the investments into the continent, they're trying to rethink that because of different reasons. And the agri-business or agri-food system space is not left out when it comes to the effects of the slowdown in investment flows. From where you sit, what will be needed? Because I know that it takes almost 16 years to just work out a technological advancement before it gets now out in the market. And it's very expensive as well. What will be needed to be able to raise funds creatively to support this sector, even as the global shocks continue to happen, hence affecting the FDI flows within the agribusiness space?
Yes, I think there's two answers to that. First of all is we need the foundations in place. So somebody coming to do an investment in an ag tech will ask you for scale, returns, and they'll have a timetable, right?
Yeah.
So I think we need the fundamentals already in place for you to grow. And to be honest, I'm seeing that building up actually, especially in the ag tech sector. There is now more financials talking about, different sorts of financing combinations, being able to support, initial stage or starting companies. We just had a launch yesterday of something called Go-Getters, where you're getting very new ideas coming through. So the foundations are not fully there yet, but they are building. And I think that especially as young entrepreneurs who are looking at the ag-food systems, we shouldn't be too scared of the slowdown in FDIs overall, because I think tech and ag, when combined together, folks have to eat. Folks have to, no matter what happens, they'll have to eat. So I think if we keep focused on what value are we actually delivering to farmers, because I think that is where the danger is, in my view. We can get carried away by developing an app for an app's sake, right? And if it's not answering a specific question that farmers want answered, and farmers are willing to pay for, then after 3-4 years, the app will die. So in terms of the FDI flows, I think they'll have their cycles. They come, they go. But the ideas in the sector are here to stay. They are long-term. And the partners, at least that we know, including Yara ourselves, are very long-term partners. So it's a challenging cycle, but I would say for the young people, the brave ones that we've seen, it's a great time to jump in. It's a great time to put in the sweat, because there are people looking at it and willing to make the investments to scale it up.
Right. Soil nutrition is your playground, in terms of your cup of tea. From what we see with the continuing growth of the urban populations and of course people moving and doing development even within the satellite cities, from what you see, what are you able to report back to us? Is there a reason to worry in terms of the quality of the nutrition that we have today in our soils, the chemicals, the different interventions we've had to make because of climate change that has probably affected the soil, and so we've had to add a bit of extra in terms of making the soil more nutritious. What are you able to tell us today? Should we worry? Is there a cause for alarm? From an expert point of view, what would you be able to tell us on this issue?
First, I think we as Yara know that soil is foundational, is fundamental, right? So we've focused a lot on the knowledge around soils. So we've done thousands of soil tests around East Africa and around Africa. We're working with a soil systems initiative to get tens of thousands more. We have a global tool called Varda, which basically will give you the soil information that's already existing. So I think information is critical. So the question is, what are we seeing from the information? We are seeing that there needs to be much more soil-specific, crop-specific nutritional programs, right? That preserve the soils in the long run, right? Soil is like a baby, right? So you have to give it different things, not just one thing for you to deliver what you want. So we're seeing that African soils need a lot more information available, a lot more integrated solutions. For example, in a country like in most of East Africa, you find some of our soils are acidic, right? So if you have acidic soils, even if you're adding other nutrition elements, the crop is not responding, right? So you're wasting money, right? So we are seeing that there are some high-level information coming through. The solutions to those challenges are known. We don't have to go reinvent them, but it requires a focused effort by different players to solve them. So I think I would not say there's cause for alarm, but there's definitely cause to look at the information and respond to it in a scientific way without experimenting too much.
Right.
Right.
Omondi, finally, when all of us pack our bags and go back to where we came from at this particular Africa Food System Forum, what do you feel we should all be doing to ensure that this is not a wasted opportunity? The second to fifth, sixth, how do you ensure that we maximize, that the conversations continue, that the agreed way forwards are actually done so that this is not yet another talk show?
Yes, so I think that is central to how we think when we come to these forums as well. So I think one of the key things is accountability, right? So we need to continue the conversations, whether or not people are watching. We need to go back and work with farmers, whether people are watching or not. But also we need some mechanisms to follow through. For instance, we are part of things like the digitization thematic platform of the African food systems. And we follow through. There's meetings, there's actions that are then checked. And in answering that question, I think it's up to everyone, right? It's up to me to make sure that I do my bit and you do yours as well. Yeah. But I think overall as a continent, you're right. We cannot afford to come talk and show up next year and have the same conversations about the same things, right? So I think there's need, and I don't think it belongs to any one party. I think it's a shared collective mentality that there is accountability for what we say and then what we follow up and do. And if we don't do it, it's okay to say, I tried it and I failed, right? That's okay. But I think what we should not fall into is we talk, keep quiet, come back next year. But I think that's not going to happen. There's too much opportunity and money to be made in doing the work. So I trust that the partners at least that I'm engaged with have very good reasons to follow up and to try and make something happen.
Right. We could talk all day,
yes,
but time cannot allow us. So I want to say thank you for making the time, for being with us on Location Podcast, and we'll keep in touch, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for being part of this conversation.
Thank you so much.